There we have another vibrant, celebratory welcome accorded company of distinguished persons who were ushered into the room. But the ceremonial aspect continues with our customary invitation to lighting of a ceremonial oil lamp. So we're very happy to have back again with us this afternoon as well, or this evening now, the Acting High Commissioner for Canada, Mr. Daniel Bood. Our chief guest happens to be remotely connected, and that's Dr. Mervyn King, who will be addressing us, but of course he can't be lighting a ceremonial oil lamp from the distance that he now has from the lamp and himself. The guest of honor is the chairman of the Colombo Stock Exchange, who is a partner, the organization is, with our event to follow, Mr. Dilshan Veerasekara. Then too, we have the CEO of the Colombo Stock Exchange, Mr. Rajiv Bandaranayaka. The president of CMA, obviously, Professor Lakshmana Wattavala, will also be included, along with a member of the CMA Sri Lanka Advisory Council, Mr. A.N. Raman, President, South Asian Federation of Accountants, or SAFA, Mr. Hennayaka Bandara.
We invite to partake in the lighting of the lamp as well the council members for CMA Sri Lanka, Mr. J.M.U.B. Jayasekara, Mr. Ruchira Pereira, Mr. Manil Jayasinghe, Mr. J.P.R. Karunaratna, Mr. S.P. Gajendra, and Professor Harendra Karyavasam. Also invited to light the lamp are Mr. Kusal Nisanka, Mr. Deshapriya Senanayaka, Professor Roshan Ajwad, and Mr. Andrade.
Now, with the lamp duly illuminated, we proceed with another two elements that must be included at this initial point in our evening's program. We have the national anthem of Sri Lanka, followed immediately thereafter by the song. Which song? The CMA song, the theme song.
Sri Lanka Mata, Appa Sri Lanka, Namo 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 Mata, Sundara Siddharini, Surani Ati Sobhamana Lanka, Danya Dhanaya Mekamal Palatulu Piri Jaya Bhumiya Ranya, Appa Hatta Sapa Siri Setta Sadhana, Jivana Emaga, Pili Kanu Mena Appa Bhakti Puja, Namo Namo Mata, Appa Sri Lanka, Namo 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 Mata, Upave Appa Vidya, Upamaya Appa Satya, Upave Appa Shanti, Appa Hada Tula Bhakti, Uppa Appa Aloke, Appa De Anuprane, Uppa Appa Jeevanale, Appa Muktiya Upave, Nava Jeevana Dimini, Nithina Appa Kubudu Karan Mata, Jnana Pida Madhavani Naragena Yanu Mena Jaya Bhumi Kara, Ekhamavakate Daru Kala Badina, Yamu Yamu Vinopama, Prema Vada Sarvaveda Durana, Namo Namo Mata, Appa Sri Lanka, Namo 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 Mata. CMA ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ප්‍රමුඛ තේරීමයි නව තාක්ෂණික දැනුමින් පිරිපුන්ව ලොව දිනමින් ජය කනුව කරා පිය නගන සදා කලබනා කරන ගණකාධිකාරි විශ්ව නිකේතනයයි
CMA Sri Lankaவில் முதலிடம் பெறுதே அதிதொழில்நுட்பங்கள் கிடைக்கும் வென்றேங்கள் உலகத்தை வெற்றி பாதையில் தினமும் செல்வோம் முகமையாளர்களும் கணக்காளர்களும் உருவாகும் மத்தியஸ்தலம்
CMA, the best in Sri Lanka, adopting international standards with technological advancement management, accounting profession globally. Recognized is full of excellence on the path to victory.
තිරසරවටිනාකම් දීපනය කරමින් තිරසරවටිනාකම් දීපනය කරමින් ශක්තියෙන් ගුණෙන් අගනා ප්‍රගතිමලයෙහි කරනා විශ්වයට ඔබින දිනු ඇයට වටින පුරවැසියන් බිහි කරනා කළමනා කරන කනකාධිකාරි විශ්ව නිකේතනයයි කළමනා කරන කනකාධිකාරි විශ්ව නිකේතනයයි CMA.
You've seen and you've heard. This evening brings a focus on a vital aspect in the evolution of a profession. There is accountancy, and then there is accountability. The weight has shifted from only securing profit, avoiding loss obviously, to something other.
The accounting profession needs to remember that it is a partner in the pursuit of economic recovery. And in that partnership, that adage, or perhaps its inverse, holds true. What can't be measured can't be managed. Therefore, there is need for a common language to communicate to all stakeholders the value that is being created by a business. By communicating, we are required to assess, and that honest assessment is what pushes behavioral change within the business, because it is made visible.
Made more visible, yes, indeed. And that is the rationale for integrated reporting, IR, which stands on its own, those initials. So the regulator in Sri Lanka is also on board with the concept and the practice of integrated reporting. And also the increased acceptance and adoption of IR by corporates, by companies, is evidenced by the number of applications that have been received for this event in the few years that it has been now launched. So here we are, ready to go.
We'll hear more, no doubt, on the increased interest in IR within the country, as well as the measures that need to be taken to take further steps forward from the chairman of the CMA Excellence in Integrated Reporting Awards for 2022, who is also the founder president of CMA Sri Lanka. So for some words of welcome and the state of integrated reporting in Sri Lanka, we'd like to invite Professor Lakshman R. Vatavala.
Good evening to all of you. Today is indeed a great day for all of you who are present here at the CMA Excellence in Integrated Reporting Awards 2022. So let me also welcome our distinguished invitees who are present both in person and also who are present overseas. Because they will, today with the technology that has taken place, we are fortunate that we do not have to do everything physically, we do not have to do everything online, but we go on the hybrid mode where we mix the physical with the online. So that's what we have done. So let me thank everyone who are present here and also those who are present online. So today we have, of course, we have some very special guests. We have our chief guest, that is Professor Mervyn King, based in South Africa. We are in Sri Lanka, so you can see how we are connected. And of course, Professor Mervyn King is a leader of the accounting profession. Of course, he is a leading lawyer, but has been playing a major role in the accounting arena, especially in integrated reporting. Not only integrated reporting, but also the global reporting initiative. So he's been someone who's been a former judge of the Supreme Court of South Africa, chair of the African Integrated Reporting Council, and chair of the Integrating Reporting Council in South Africa. So if you ask anyone who is Professor Mervyn King, they will always refer to the various adoption of integrated reporting done in South Africa based on Professor Mervyn King's standards. So we are very happy to have him with us. We also have our very distinguished invitee, that is Daniel Bood, who is the Acting High Commissioner for Canada in Sri Lanka. They have been our partner since inception. As a result of this partnership, we have been able to get together and make CMA a success story. So thank you very much, Excellency Daniel Bood. You are someone who was remembered in our history of the CMA, where we were going to do a service to the nation. So we also have other distinguished invitees, Mr. Dilshan Veerasekara, the chairman of the Colombo Stock Exchange, supported by his able CEO, Mr. Bandaranayake, who is really someone who's been very close to us. And today, they are the supporting partners of this great event that we are doing. Then, of course, we have our President of the South Asian Federation of Accountants, Mr. Hennayaka Bandara. Then we have Mr. A.N. Raman, a former President of the South Asian Federation of Accountants and also a member of the Advisory Council of CMA Sri Lanka. Then offline we have Professor Ho Yu Ki. I think he's been a very, very dear and close friend of us, the chairman of the panel of judges, and he's the professor of accounting an Associate Provost of the Singapore Institute of Technology and former Professor of Accounting of the National University of Singapore, supported by Professor Graham Terry, also a Professor of Practice in the University of Johannesburg, and been a long-standing member of the South Asian Institute of Chartered Accountants, of course, Mr. A.N. Raman, and of course, Professor Samanthi Senaratna, who is with senior professor in accounting at the University of Sri Jayewardenepura. So we have a very, very, I think, outstanding panel of judges, and also supported by a local evaluation committee. So today, as you know, it's the day of where we are celebrating a major event of the private sector. I think you must be happy because there are also the public sector organizations who are involved in it, most of them who are regulated by an authority. So we can see how regulated bodies perform compared to the unregulated bodies and the problems that they are creating, either by them or someone from outside for which they have no control. We have, as you know, we are having our conference tomorrow. We had the inauguration this morning, but one of the areas we are taking it up is the state-owned enterprises. All of us are talking and shouting at them, but what we have done is we are bringing them to explain to us what they are doing, what are the problems that they are having, and how you can make them viable and for them to create value to our country. Now that's something that we are going to talk of today. What is integrated reporting? Integrated reporting is the excellent work that are done by you, where you have combined the integrated thinking for communicating how an organization's strategy, governance, performance and prospects leads to the creation of value in the short, medium and long term. I think you should take the credit for preparing an integrated report. I think the chairman of the Colombo Stock Exchange will know, and also the CEO, that this is a voluntary effort. This is not something that is compulsory. So you must be really congratulated for what you are doing to show the quoted companies that are there, your stakeholders, the value that you are creating to your stakeholders, including the society. Today we talk of the environment, the society and governance, and you are the outstanding companies in this country who will be able to take Sri Lanka to the next stage. So you must be proud of yourself. There should be some authority, some organization that would value your services. And I can tell you that CMA Sri Lanka is one of those organizations that really value the work that you are doing, the value that you are creating, the outstanding achievements that you are showing to the people of this country, what you can do and what the private sector can do to build this country. Out of no fault of yours, today we are in a very different situation. We have the government sector, we have the private sector. So if you want to create value, you have to hand over the government to the private sector. I think you should echo these sentiments. Otherwise, we will never be able to come out of the problems that we have gone through. Value creation includes all areas. I think you saw what was there in the 6 capitals, which you are really enforcing, you are using to create capital. Not only the financial, because we are in dire straits, we are begging, and we need outside help to come in. But they must beg from the private sector, come and help us. That is the only way that this country can be taken up. That is what we want to show the country, that the value that you have created should be made use of. And if you want to come out of this, then you must get the experts from the private sector. I am sure you are not going to charge any fees. If you want to do a service to the country, if you want to do a service to the nation, I am sure you have the resources to do it. We are rather unfortunate that some of these things have not been well managed. Today, if you look at the accounting profession, we are not only locally recognized, but internationally recognized. We have 3 professional accounting bodies: the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka, the Institute of Certified Management Accountants of Sri Lanka, and the Association of Accounting Technicians of Sri Lanka, which are globally recognized by the International Federation of Accountants. If their services have been used by the government, I am sure they would have not had any of these problems. Unfortunately, they have not done so. But we need to take a lesson, because we may be the only professional education body, or even if you compare with the academics, which is recognized internationally, recognized globally. That is the strength that we have. Unfortunately, today we are unable to go out and face our colleagues in other countries. They are asking us, what are you doing? Your country is in deep trouble. So we need to come forward and show them the way. And we need your services. The leading companies, the public sector companies, the quoted companies that have done extremely well at this competition. So I was talking of the capitals, the financial capital, the manufactured capital, natural capital, human capital, the most important thing. What are we doing to build this human capital? The government servants, 1.6 million, have they created value? These are questions that you should ask. Because we now have to question them. Because if they have brought us to this position, we have to question them and make them do the correct thing, the right thing, to make this country the earlier, what was mentioned, the pearl of the Indian Ocean. We do not want to go down. We are no second to anyone. Before independence, we had the best public service in this whole Asian region. Today, where are we? What has happened to our country? No point talking of the past, but now you have to take the leadership. You have to show the way. If the private sector, you have to stand upright, show them what you have done, show them the awards that you have got. Then only the people will realize what we can do to make this country one of the most prosperous countries in this whole world. So you are really going to be the game changer. If you just sit quiet and just listen to them, you will be nowhere. Because you have success to speak of. Let us put this in front. Today our main thing of the CMA Excellence in Integrated Reporting Awards 22, which is done, which you are doing on a voluntary basis, no compulsion. That's the great thing. I am very happy that the Colombo Stock Exchange is supporting, the Securities Exchange Commission is supporting, of course on a voluntary basis. They don't want to make it compulsory because they know that you value good things. So that's a great success in this whole thing. So I am sure, let me congratulate all our participants, because many companies entered. But what we have seen, we have done this for 8 years. All our judges, I think they will give the judges' report. They see that there is a tremendous improvement in the reporting of companies. You know under what stress you are working, under what difficult conditions you are working, but still you are able to keep up and show that you will be able to perform and give results. So what we need today is result-oriented, integrity, honesty, and of course, the service to the society. Everyone is looking at you. People say that private sector, what are they doing to us? No, but you are the ones who are doing that, giving the employment, giving them all the necessities that are there. When the time is tough, you have to see how you can do it. You may cut the salaries, but once you come back, you will give those back. So that's how performance related. Without performance related, you can't do anything. Today, we need to not work 8 hours. We need to work 16 hours. We need to work 24 hours. That is how the private sector works. Government sector must take it from the private sector, because you know that if you do not work, there is no one behind who is going to help you. But the government, what is it doing? Taxes were increased recently. The budget will increase some. How are you going to pay these things? You have to create economic activity in this country. And that's how it has to happen. So they have to give the infrastructure, they have to give all the facilities to the private sector to make this country a place where the economic activity will go uninterrupted. So we have, I'm sure that today's event will say that we have the full confidence in the private sector to create value to your stakeholders. The most important thing is the public interest. As professional accountants, chartered accountants, management accountants, accounting technicians, we think of public interest. Public interest, I am sure, of all these people who create value is uppermost in your minds. So let me once again congratulate everyone, and I must also thank our panel of judges, our evaluation committee, and of course our secretariat, I think Ms. Jinande, who's been playing a major role in getting all these things together and doing it. And I'm sure that we will be able to improve not only our companies, but to take this further, as I said, because if you go and ask the government what is the value you are creating, can they give you an answer? If you go to all these state corporations and ask them what is the value you are creating, can they give an answer? So these are the big questions that are there, which now the people should open their eyes. So let me thank all of you all for taking part in this competition, and we have done our best in order to ensure that this message will be taken not only by the private sector, but it will be taken over by the government sector. They will open their eyes and know what has to be implemented in order that this country would be put into the right position. Thank you, and all the very best.
So there's that compound noun, and you're allowed to wear it, game changer. We were introduced to that.
Professor Vatavalla, of course, striking a cautionary note in his call to action, while appreciating those of you who are leading the charge and changing the game, as it were. We'll be able to celebrate those of you who have been doing that with the Excellence in Integrated Reporting Awards today. But first,
the address by President of SAFA, South Asian Federation of Accountants, who also happens to be the Vice President of CMA Sri Lanka, Mr. H.M. Henayaka Bandara.
Good evening to all of you. Good evening to all of you. Our chief guest this evening, Professor Mervyn King, who is joining with us virtually. Chairman, Colombo Stock Exchange, Mr. Dilshan Veerasekara. Founder President, Professor Lakshmanar Vatavalla. Mr. Raman, Past President, SAFA. Acting High Commissioner for Canada, Mr. Andrew. Thank you. Distinguished invitees, award winners, ladies and gentlemen. I am honored and delighted to address you all at this very important annual event. Let me make my remarks on integrated reporting in the context of SAFA as well as CMA Sri Lanka. South Asian Federation of Accountants, a network partner of International Federation of Accountants, represents over 375,000 accountants having membership of the National Chartered Cost and Management Accountants in the South Asian countries. Several organizations in the SAARC countries have taken many initiatives to promote integrated reporting and encourage all corporates to adhere to it. It is noted that an increasing number of organizations across the region are implementing it as they have realized the importance of reporting the full picture of their organizations and value to investors and other stakeholders. With a view to encourage the adoption of integrated reporting in the South Asian region, SAFA introduced a separate award category under the Best Presented Accounts Award, which is an important event in the annual calendar of SAFA. And I'm happy to mention that leading companies in Sri Lanka were able to compete with other countries and bag many awards in the past. Ladies and gentlemen, integrated reporting is still a management practice exercised by few companies in the region, including Sri Lanka. I think that is the point that our Professor Lakshmana Vatavala emphasized. It is a voluntary exercise. To date, we are not mandated it, but going forward, we need to think of how we should really move forward. The universal adoption of same in the future will require a combination of market and regulatory forces. The full value of integrated reporting will only be realized when it is done in a way that enables comparison of results across companies, at least within a particular sector. Therefore, going forward, regulations will be necessary to specify the framework of integrated reporting and what standards should be used for reporting non-financial information such as environmental, social, and governance matters. At the same time, the market intermediaries such as accounting firms, rating agencies, and board of directors also have an important role to play in enabling companies to implement integrated reporting and investors to use the information made available to them. More importantly, IR is an opportunity for organizations to adopt more sustainable business models, strategies, and create value over the long term. It also has the potential to bring innovation through integrated thinking and value creation, which would certainly enhance the productivity, sustainability, and profitability. From the corporate governance point of view, in the event investors and society do not get the rich value that is being created by companies, then there will be an accountability gap which needs to be addressed. Therefore, organizations embark in integrated report adoption should see from a strategic point of view instead of compliance point of view to tell a better story about their business model and the value they create for investors in driving the strategy for the organization. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I wish to state that over the past 7 years, we could witness more number of companies, both quoted and unquoted, as well as the state-owned enterprises, applying for the CMA awards, showing that this awards competition is widely accepted by the companies. I myself have got involved with this annual event from the inception and happy to note that Sri Lanka is in the forefront of integrated reporting in the Asian region. More importantly, to maintain the credibility, CMA always ensures to engage an eminent panel of judges who are international repute, backed by competent technical evaluators. I take this opportunity to wish and congratulate all award winners and thank the companies and other organizations who have participated for the IR Awards competition and for your presence to witness this prestigious annual event. Thank you all.
So our confidence is boosted by the phrase that we heard from Mr. Hennaka Bandara that IR is well and healthy in this country, and perhaps better than some others.
Yes, and we'll hear more from our chief guest in his address.
I
He's joining
did
us.
want to mention that we will shortly be hearing from the chairman of the Colombo Stock Exchange, but as Dinesh was going to say,
Yes, we will hear from him the state of IR and as a supporting partner as well for the CMA Excellence in IR Awards. But we have now our chief guest who is joining us remotely, and he will be speaking on a subject that may bear resonance for, especially for those of you who have been driving IR within the country. So our chief guest this evening is Professor Mervyn King, who is the Chair Emeritus of the International Integrated Reporting Council of the UK, the Global Reporting Initiative Amsterdam, and a member of the Private Sector Advisory Group to the World Bank on Corporate Governance. He's also a former judge of the Supreme Court of South Africa and chair of the African Integrated Reporting Council, as well as being chair of the Integrated Reporting Council in South Africa.
so we now link with Professor King, who will be seen and heard.
Thank you very much. I hope you can all see and hear me. Thank you, Professor Lakshman, for inviting me again to speak at this these prestigious awards for good IR reporting. Sri Lanka, from a corporate reporting point of view, is in a good position. Corporate reporting is not what it used to be. We used to report on a foundation of the primacy of the shareholder with a focus on the financial statements. But by the turn into the 21st century, the makeup of the market capital of companies showed that on average between 20 and 30% at most of the market cap of companies was reflected as additives in balance sheets around the world according to financial reporting standards, be they IASB or FASB or any other standard. And the space of sustainability reporting, which is an umbrella term for environmental, social, and governance factors, became of greater and greater importance because it was realized that this was making up the bulk of the market cap of companies. The result was there was a plethora of standard setters and framework providers in the space. At the time, in 2019, just before the start of the pandemic, I said in London to many of the executives of those standard setters and framework providers that it's a moral and social outrage that you are not collaborating when under SDG 17, collaboration is the critical thing to try and achieve the outcomes of the other 16 SDGs. And corporate reporting is the mechanism through which we as directors discharge our duty of accountability. And instead of seeing yourselves as competitors, you should be collaborators. Now, I'm told that that started galvanizing some of these executives to think about collaboration. But the true trigger of collaboration was with the pandemic, when it was seen that it was possible for scientists to create a vaccine in 9 months instead of 9 years through what was contemplated in SDG 17, collaboration of the intellectual capital input, etc. And this did trigger collaboration amongst the standard setters and framework providers in the in the sustainability reporting space, the ESG space. And 5 of them issued a statement of intent to collaborate, including the IRC and Sustainability Accountancy Standards Board, founded in San Francisco. And the result of collaboration ultimately led to discussions of merger, and the IRC and SASB merged and formed the Value Reporting Foundation, which in turn, the intellectual capital owned by the VRF was passed on to the International Financial Reporting Standards Foundation, IFRS. IFRS, as you all know, is an oversight body and doesn't have the power to create standards. And that's why it has oversight over the IASB, the International Accounting Standards Board, for standards for financial statements. But after due consultation, the IFRS agreed that there was need to create a separate entity under the IFRS for sustainability reporting. And the International Sustainability Standards Board was created. With the intellectual capital of the VRF and IFRS, the SASB standards were passed down to the ISSB, and the IR framework was passed down to the joint ownership of the IASB financial and the ISSB sustainability reporting. Meanwhile, the European Commission, through EFRAG, the Financial Reporting Accountancy Group, created standards, sustainability standards, which had to fit in with their legal constraints, because years before, they had passed laws that by a certain date, no more combustion engine motor cars could be produced in the EU. By a certain date, no plant and machinery could be energized by fossil fuels. And so they developed and pronounced for consultation purposes double materiality standards. Now, what does that mean? That means going back to the beginning of the 21st century, an initiative was formed towards the end of the 20th century, and that initiative was called the Global Reporting Initiative. What was seen from a sustainability point of view was how the company made its money, how it dealt with its inputs, particularly its natural assets, in producing a product, had outputs which the product itself or the service it rendered, but it had other outputs such as waste. And when the product went out into society, it had impacts on people and planet, on the society and planet Earth. So then there were outcomes flowing from these impacts. So sustainability was seen until the seismic events of the collapse of Lehman Brothers and the global financial crisis as being inside out, how the company made its product and how it impacted on the 3 critical dimensions for sustainable development, namely the economy, society, and the environment, or as quaintly put by the Brundtland Commission in 1987, people, planet, and prosperity. Well, the collapse of Lehman Brothers showed that these 3 critical dimensions for sustainable development had an impact on companies. So throughout the world, the collapse of Lehman Brothers had an impact on their financial condition, their balance sheet, on their operational activities, their income statement and their cash flow, had an impact on their risk profile, their cost of capital. So suddenly sustainability, like a coin, was seen to have 2 sides. From the inside out, as seen by the initiative, the Global Reporting Initiative, and from the outside in, And that's where SASB, Sustainability Accounting Standards Board, started developing standards for some 77 industries of the influence of these three critical dimensions for sustainable development on the limited liability company. So from a sustainability reporting point of view, we now have sustainability standards developed by the EU through EFRAG, which are double materiality in the sense that they cover both inside to outside impacts and outcomes, and outside to inside impacts and outcomes. The ISSB is focused in the main on enterprise value creation, following the SASB standards of outside in, but have coined what I call a mercurial interoperability, saying if the board sees something from the inside out, which is of such importance that it could have an impact on the thinking of the user, so that he or she or it could actually come to another conclusion, then they should include it in their corporate report to discharge their duty of accountability to the company. Well, as I said, this is mercurial, and as I've pointed out, it's not really a standard, because it's a decision by a board what is material, in the sense that it could change the thinking of the user. But the question of alignment of the standards, sustainability standards issued by EFRAG, and the standards coming out of the ISSB is of critical importance, because we want reasonable assurance of sustainability reports. And the IAASB, the International Auditing and Assurance Standards Board, of course, if these two standards could align, it would make it easier for them to develop standards of reasonable assurance. So as I'm talking to you, they are speaking about alignment of those standards. They're also speaking about alignment of the management commentary exposure draft, which was issued and paused when all these things were happening in IFRS. And how does the IASB and the ISSB, being the joint owners of the IR framework, now evolve that framework to include whatever was in the management commentary exposure draft as issued, which was not contained in the general principles or the content elements of the IR framework as it exists? And how did the IASB and the ISSB use the concepts of integrated thinking, etc., as espoused in the IR framework to develop further their standards, particularly the sustainability standards? So what I'm hopeful for is that these things become aligned and we can develop standards of reasonable assurance. One thing I'm certain of, that financial reporting has been mandated in Sri Lanka. Your regulator will mandate sustainability reporting, and your regulator will have to decide if there's not this alignment. Are they going to follow the double materiality standards, or are they going to follow the ISSB standards focusing on outside-in impacts? At the moment, what is happening is that corporations in the private sector are inclining towards the EU double materiality standards, because it does cover inside out and outside in impacts and outcomes. And it also limits the possibility of greenwashing. So let me just conclude by saying this, that corporate reporting is not what it used to be. You will have a financial report, a sustainability report, and an integrated report, where, as I'm speaking to you, there is a committee trying to align the contents of the IR framework with the management commentary exposure draft issued by the IASB and paused while the IFRS acquired the VRF and formed the ISSB. So we have uncertainty in that regard, but what is certain is your regulator will mandate sustainability reporting, and integrated reporting, I believe, will also be mandated, because you've seen, and Professor Luxman made it clear in his talk, that asset owners and asset managers look at an integrated report and have told me they can see from that integrated report the quality of management, and the board has actually embraced the concept of integrated thinking and pushed it right down through the company or the organization, if it's not a limited liability company. But in the main, we're speaking of limited liability companies. So I end as I started. Corporate reporting is not what it used to be, but I believe the IFRS have the tools now to develop the biggest stepping stone to an end game of a global comprehensive corporate reporting system with the IASB financial reporting standards, ISSB aligned sustainability reporting standards, and evolved integrated report, which Sri Lanka is well placed to in the world, because you've been doing integrated reports since 2009, 2010. So congratulations to the winners of the awards, and good luck for the future of CMA. Thank you very much.
We thank you too, Professor Mervyn King, for your hearty endorsement of the endeavor within this country, and in particular CMA Sri Lanka, in pursuing the agenda that you are so much an advocate of. Thank you. We, as was mentioned, now would like to hear from the chairman of the Colombo Stock Exchange, and that's a regulator, as was alluded to previously, the supporting partner of CMA Excellence in IR Awards 2022 as well. So the chairman, Mr. Dilshan Veerasekara, and we invite your attention as he speaks.
Thank you, and good evening. I'm going to keep it very brief because I think we are all quite excited to look at who's won the awards. Formalities first. Chief guest today, Professor King, founding president, Professor Watavala, His Excellency Daniel Brood, members of the head table, distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen. The Colombo Stock Exchange is quite honored and privileged to be partnering CMA in this endeavor of corporate excellence reporting. And I think it sort of is quite aligned with the vision of the Colombo Stock Exchange as well, which is to bring wealth and value. And we know integrating the reporting is all about creating value to your stakeholders. The efforts of CMA Sri Lanka in terms of promoting integrated reporting principles are quite commendable, and I think we really need to recognize the dedication and passion of Professor Watavala and this institution in getting that done in Sri Lanka. I think Professor Watavala alluded to how integrated reporting, adopting these principles, could be useful for Sri Lanka in the predicament that we find ourselves today. And I thought I'll just sort of, rather than boring you with what integrated reporting is, and we've already heard about a lot of that, and talking technical jargon, just sort of plant a thought in all of you. We know when you say integrated reporting, you're broadly talking about, the 6 forms of capital, not just the economic aspect of it, but also the people and the planet aspects of it. And I think as Sri Lankans, what we probably need today, and we dearly, dearly need this, is probably for all of us individually also to look at your own balance sheets and think, do you really think in terms of these three aspects when you conduct your day-to-day business? I think as we all know, we are in an economic crisis. The financial aspect, the profit aspect is obviously what's the most close to heart. We have our families to look after, we all do that. But I think if we can maybe focus on these principles as a nation and as individuals, to not purely look at the profit aspect of making a living, but also to look at the other aspects of the people and planet and how our actions impact others around us and this country, I think we'll all be in a much better place. So I'm looking forward to a very exciting evening today, and wishing all the participants all the very best and the winners as well. And I leave you with that thought. Thank you and have a good evening.
There's a little issue with a car parked that needs to be moved rapidly, quickly, instantly, without delay. LXKH, no.
Yes.
Oh, LX, yeah, it's a Corolla. LXKH4444. Is that right?
That is
Okay.
correct. That's what we were told.
That's what we were told, yes. So
If you recognize it.
LXKH4444. Okay.
All right, and we'll move speedily along as well. We have now the chairman of the panel of judges with his address, where he'll be sharing the criteria, the challenges, what was done well, and perhaps what could be improved. We have, as chairman of the panel of judges, one who you will no doubt recognize from all the integrated reporting awards preceding this. He has been a solid contributor, and he continues in that capacity. So we have Professor Ho Yu Ki, the chairman of the panel of judges, as was mentioned. He's also Professor of Accounting and Associate Provost of Skills Future of the Singapore Institute of Technology, as well as being a former Professor of Accounting at the National University of Singapore. He, too, is joining us remotely, and so we will link with him shortly.
Well, immediately.
There you go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for inviting me and having me as the chairman of the panel of judges for the last 8 years. It has been my great honor and privilege to be the chairman. So what I will do is I'll provide a background concerning this award, and I'll leave it to my distinguished judge, Professor Graham Terry, to provide you with the details from what we have learned as a panel of judges. I think it is important for us to come to the clear purpose of IR. The integrated reporting was meant and is meant to promote a more cohesive and efficient approach to corporate reporting, and it aims to improve the quality of information available to providers of financial capital to enable a more efficient and productive allocation of capital. So what I've done is I've highlighted all those key statements concerning what IR is supposed to do. It is a cohesive and efficient approach to corporate reporting. It actually aims to improve the quality of information. Who are the user? The primary user are the providers of financial capital, and the end outcome we want to see is a more efficient and productive allocation of capital. And we will all agree that this is what every country, every good investment community would need in terms of characterizing the quality of their company and the quality of the financial reporting. Back in 2015, the IR Excellence in IR Award was created as a competition. And the purpose of the competition is to promote Sri Lankan companies, both listed and unlisted, and state-owned enterprises, institutions, companies, to undertake integrated reporting which will be beneficial to investors and stakeholders. So it was very clear. The thought pattern then was to create a competition to spur the Sri Lankan companies to adopt a reporting system that will allow them to become competitors in a global scale. And it covers both the listed, unlisted companies, and even state-owned enterprises. And as Professor Mervyn King has said, this is not mandatory, and it is discretionary, and it is voluntary in the sense. And Sri Lankan companies has embraced this integrated reporting well, and later on I'll share with you, it will pay dividends, right? Because the world will sit up and look at the quality of the financial reporting of the Sri Lankan companies. How have we been doing? These are the statistics concerning the number of applicants and the number of shortlisted finalists over the years. But with the passing away of COVID-19, we believe this number will continue to climb as companies see the importance and the privilege and the outcome of adopting integrated reporting. I must say, these are the companies that have continued to have done well in the area of integrated reporting, with DMO being a straight winners in the last 8 years. These are the top 3 winners tally since 2015 to 2021. I shall not include the results of this year. I'll leave it to the MC to announce the results. And DMO clearly sits on top with 7 straight wins, with John Q 6 times being in the last 7 years finalists, and so on and so forth. In the 2022, these are the statistics of the participants. We have 47 unique companies from 2015 to 2022 that have taken part in this competition. And in 2022, there are 27 of the companies that were shortlisted out of 46 companies that have applied, of which 6 of these companies have actually taken part in all the 8 years of competition. Since 2015, the panelists have reviewed 183 shortlisted finalists and their reports. The technical panels have read many more reports, probably twice the amount of this over the last 8 years. How is 2022 different? 2022 and 21 has been a very challenging year with the COVID-19 and the economic conditions in the world, particularly facing Sri Lanka, right? And what we have also found as a panel of judges is the increasing requirements of other reporting regimes. You have the integrated reporting, which is voluntary, but nonetheless, you have all the rest of the mandatory reporting regime, the governance, risk management and operations, the financial reporting, and in the recent time, the sustainability reporting. This has put tremendous pressure on companies, and it can actually make the landscape very confusing concerning how can the annual report incorporate all the necessary information to allow the stakeholders to be able to understand what is happening to the company. So herein where we suffer from the maxim, if you try to please everyone, you may end up pleasing no one, right? So this is where we will be sharing with you where integrated reporting can play a very critical role to allow us to be focused in preparing the annual report to meet a particular stakeholders, and these stakeholders is the financial capital providers. We have also the tremendous opportunity to interview and speak to the shortlisted finalists. I'd like to basically share with you 2 particular conversations that took place in the interview. The first concerns the importance of IR. One of the interviewees actually said that they were very pleased over the fact that they have adopted IR as a way of reporting, particularly during this crisis time, where all things are actually happening at the same time. If they have not have used IR as a form of reporting, they may not even know how to tackle this crisis from COVID-19 to the economic chaos that face Sri Lanka. The IR provide them with a framework to allow them to stay focused concerning the characteristics of the information they need to convey, the materiality, the strategic focus, the outlook, and thereafter the elements, the 6 capitals, the integrated thinking that is required to allow company to bring forth their value creation story. So this is the story of one of the interviewee. A second interviewee, another interviewee, I would like to single out the company Singer. Singer, this is the first time they're adopting IR. And when I interviewed the team that prepared IR, they were very pleased over the fact that as a first-time adopter, the IR allows the management team, allows the decision maker to put on integrated thinking, because in preparing the IR, they need to orientate all the information towards a very focused value creation story for the whole company. So it allows them to look at their operations, allows them to look at the way they are doing things, and the reporting in a very focused manner on a dedicated group of stakeholders, which are the financial capital providers. With this, I also like to send an appreciation messages to a few groups of individuals. The first group, I must basically congratulate Professor Lakshman Watawala and the CMA Sri Lanka for their foresight. 2015, when I started judging the IR competition, the IIRC was actually merely formalizing the IR framework. And CMA Sri Lanka was a forerunner to spot a very important reporting device and make that into a competition to spur the companies in Sri Lanka to use these communication device to communicate their value creation. This is a great foresight by Professor Lakshman Watawala and CMA Sri Lanka, and we have reaped the benefits for the last 8 years. I also want to put on record our thanks to the members of the technical panels. Right? They have poured through 46 annual reports as a team, as 3 different teams, in order to allow us to have some convergence, the shortlist, the finalists, for the panel of judges to review. And they must have poured in hours, all right, in looking at the annual report. Professor Graham Terry will tell you, as a judge, he probably spent about 3.5 hours on one company. You can imagine the amount of time the technical panels have spent on all those annual reports. I want to put on record our great and deep gratitude for all the good works these 3 panels have done. I also like to thank the judging panels. I think we have been with us ever since Professor Samanthi, Professor Graham Terry, Mr. A.N. Raman, right? I am very grateful that we have plugged on and we have spent hours looking at the annual reports. And the most important thing we constantly have in our mind as a panel of judges is that we must accord justice, equity, recognition to the companies who have spent so much time preparing the annual report. Right? We dare not trivialize the efforts, and we want to be able to recognize all the good works that they have done. And finally, I also want to thank the Colombo Stock Exchange for your support. Without your support, I think it will be very hard for this competition to have continued with integrated reporting being a voluntary reporting. All participating companies, we hope that you'll come back again and again and again, and we will dialogue, we'll work with you, we'll make integrated reporting a way of life for the Sri Lankan companies, and thereafter, as this economic crisis and COVID-19 blow away, the companies in Sri Lanka will be a shining star, the pearl of Asia as it is, right? And also the press, thank you so much for carrying the importance and the achievement of this competition far and wide. Finally, I render my congratulations to all the winners of the 2022 Excellence in Integrated Reporting Award competition. With this, thank you very much for having me. I deeply appreciate your invitation as a judge in this competition. Thank you. Good night.
Professor Ho has provided us some vital insights and also helped us to appreciate that it was not a walk in the park, but a great deal of hard labor to be able to arrive at the decisions that they have. And shortly we will. Now, he indicated to us that we will benefit from hearing more from from another of the panel of judges, and also shall we say, a very energetic advocate of IR, and that's Professor Graham Terry, who is also linked with us remotely, and he will be speaking from his location, I believe, in South Africa. Professor of Practice, University of Johannesburg, on IR and integrated thinking. Here's Professor Graham Terry.
Master of Ceremonies, Professor Watawala, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening to everyone and greetings from Cape Town. It is my honor and privilege to deliver the judge's report before the results of the 2022 Excellence in Integrated Reporting Awards are announced. Since the competition was inaugurated in 2015, as judges, we have seen significant improvements in the quality of the leading reports, but more gradually in the other reports. This competition rewards excellence in integrated reporting, and therefore reports are marked and judged using the framework published by the International Integrated Reporting Council, originally in 2013 and revised in 2021. I shall refer to this framework as the IR framework. Over the past few years, we have noticed that companies are also preparing reports that can be submitted to competitions run by various other organizations. This has led to some companies publishing very lengthy reports, which we have remarked about many times in the past. There has been a huge amount of churn in the corporate reporting space over the past 2 years, resulting in the merging of several of the standard-setting organizations. Many of the corporate reporting frameworks and standards are now housed under the IFRS Foundation, including the IR framework. Clearly, this has caused some confusion and uncertainty, which may have affected how organizations construct their reports. However, despite these events, the owners of the IR framework have emphasized their continued support for the IR framework. There are likely to be changes in the future as integrated reporting evolves, but the basic principles as presented in the IR framework are unlikely to change. The framework makes it very clear that integrated reports are prepared for providers of financial capital, but the framework is designed, so it is suggested that integrated reports may also be of use to other stakeholders. But the framework is designed and constructed for providers of financial capital. The framework states that integrated reporting promotes a more cohesive and efficient approach to corporate reporting. Integrated reporting aims to improve the quality of information available to providers of financial capital to enable a more efficient and productive allocation of capital. Of course, one of the aims is to encourage companies to present reports that are useful to investors and thereby attract investment and reduce the cost of capital. A fundamental principle of any type of reporting is to identify the audience, that is, to whom the report is directed, because the targeted audience determines the curation and presentation of the content. The question we ask is, for whom are you preparing your report? Some organizations state that their report is prepared for providers of financial capital. Others suggest that their report is prepared for multi-stakeholders, and some are silent. Traditionally, reports were prepared focusing on enterprise value, that is, focusing on material, internal and external issues that impact the value of the organization over the short, medium, and long term, the so-called outside-in issues. However, as ESG matters have become more important to investors and providers of financial capital, there is a growing trend to include information about an organization's activities that materially affect the environment and society, even if it has no direct or indirect effect on enterprise value. These are referred to inside-out matters, and we are very aware of these developments and have taken them into account. We are also aware of the challenges that people in Sri Lanka have been facing over the past few years. Obviously, the COVID crisis and the more recent economic and political challenges have had a huge impact on the lives of people. These have played out in the Sri Lankan organizations in various ways and are generally well described and discussed in the Chairman and CEO reports. We have seen many good reports, and those are the ones that have come out on top in this competition. These organizations have kept a focus on the principles of integrated reporting and generally presented balanced reports. Because of the severe challenges presented by the external environment, some organizations have had to make significant changes to their business model and adapt their strategies accordingly. It was pleasing to see how these companies explained and presented these changes. Another pleasing development is the way in which some organizations are building elements of the relevant UN Sustainable Development Goals into their strategies, because they recognize that these issues are affecting the organization's ability to create value now and in the future. Unfortunately, if we look at the quality of integrated reports presented this year, there have been few improvements over the past year, and in some cases there has been regression. This is partly due to organizations trying to meet the requirements of various frameworks. We need to understand that many of the frameworks are in conflict with each other. For example, one of the key principles of the IR framework is conciseness, but the GRI standards require much more detail. That is not to say that the other frameworks are bad. It's just that they are designed to meet the needs of different stakeholders. Integrated reports should be prepared in accordance with the IR framework. Other frameworks and standards can and should be used to gather material information to be included in the integrated report. But the report can't be prepared in accordance with the requirements of multiple frameworks. As we know, the IR framework suggests that integrated reports should be prepared in accordance with 7 guiding principles. These are strategic focus and future orientation, connectivity of information, stakeholder relationships, materiality, conciseness, reliability and completeness, and consistency and comparability. One report we saw was over 500 pages. It took me 3.5 hours to review. I can assure you that no investor will even attempt to read such a report in a bid to find relevant information. Materiality applies to the whole report and not just to the determination of material items. Integrated reports should not be more than 100 to 120 pages in length. In addition, lengthy reports with pages of irrelevant data make it very difficult to achieve decent connectivity. Globally, as integrated reporting matures, fewer icons and connectors are used, as the content elements should flow seamlessly from one section to the others. Some organizations in Sri Lanka are achieving this, but most are not because of the volume of content. If one turns to the question of reliability and completeness, which are critically important, the sheer volume of content makes it very difficult to comprehend the reliability and completeness of the information provided. The situation is exacerbated if a reader spots questionable or incompatible statements. For example, it was interesting to read some organizations claimed record revenues and profits in the year and attributed this to internal efficiencies and actions by management. However, you mentioned the impact of inflation, which of course was a major contributing factor. Integrated reports are meant to describe how an organization creates value, protects value, and how value has been eroded. It was disappointing to see several reports focusing almost entirely on value creation and avoiding value erosion, even though these organizations had passed through very challenging market conditions. These imbalances undermine the reliability of the report and raise questions about completeness. It is becoming popular for organizations to seek limited independent assurance for their integrated report. However, we are not sure that limited assurance adds much value when one reads the nature of tests conducted. Unfortunately, the term limited assurance is little understood and can convey the mistaken impression that an independent assurer provides assurance about the veracity of the content, especially when one reads about it in the body of the report without reading the actual assurance statement. Now, I'm not talking about reasonable assurance, which Professor Mervyn King mentioned, because that would be a much more desirable form of assurance. Limited assurance gives you very little confidence about the content of the report. In summary, we believe that organizations need to decide why they are preparing annual reports, because we do not believe that many of the reports in the current format are meeting the requirements of any of the frameworks completely. In the past, we have recommended that if organizations want to prepare combined reports, that they should prepare an integrated report in terms of the IR framework and place it at the front of the annual report with other detailed information in separate sections behind the integrated report. We are aware that some regulatory authorities require organizations such as banks to include certain prescribed information in their annual report. That is fine, but we suggest that it is presented in a separate section and not as part of the integrated report. Many might see this assessment by the judges as disappointing, but we believe that Sri Lankan companies need to stand back and assess why they are producing reports and who they are targeting. Clearly, a lot of money is spent on preparing them, but is that money meeting your objective? As we said earlier, the quality of Sri Lankan integrated reports has improved hugely over the years. It would be a pity to lose the advances made because companies are losing focus. Sri Lanka needs foreign investment and partnerships. Companies should use the integrated report to build credibility and competitiveness in the global markets. On behalf of the judges, let me congratulate those organizations that have won awards. You have done well. We hope that other organizations will seek to emulate you. Thank you.
We're most grateful, I think, to Professor Graham Terry, for he was able to sound some cautionary notes and guidance for the future as well. So those were specific, and that's good. Now, we would like to invite So we would like to move to introducing the panel of judges as was planned.
So we have 4 judges on the panel. We have, as you know, the chairman, Professor Ho Yu Ki, and Professor Graham Terry, who you've just heard from. Also on the panel of judges, is Professor Samanthi Senaratne, who is Senior Professor in Accounting at the University of Sri Jayewardenepura. And our fourth member of the panel of judges, who we appreciate very much as well, is Mr. A.N. Raman, who is a former president of the South Asian Federation of Accountants and is a management consultant.
Now, with the four judges, there was another realm of activity that was undertaken by the technical evaluators, and they were in three groups. So, Group A, we had the leader, Professor Roshan Ajwad, and Dr. Isru Manavadu was also present as the alternate leader. Ms. Tilini Kure, Ms. Amali Hennadirige, Dr. Sandhya Jayasena, Ms. Fatima Nuskia, Mr. Janit Dayaratna, and Mr. Gayantha Jayasurya.
Leading Group B, we had Mr. Kusal Nisanka, and as alternate leader, we had Ms. Darshini Vatavala, Mr. Sivanyanam Persant, and Ms. Anjani Dharmavansa, Ms. Hamsat Begum, Mr. M.I.M. Riyath, Ms. S.R. Sudarshini, Ms. Sandaru Apsara, and Ms. Rashmi Senaviratna, I beg your pardon, were the rest of Group B, the Group B
Group
of
C
technical
now,
evaluators.
yes. The leader was Deshapriya Senanayaka, Nishanta Hevapitana was the alternate leader. Then too we had Mr. D.S.W. Andrade, Ms. Shazia Amani, Mr. Chatumin Gunaratna, Ms. Melanie Warapitia, then Mr. Dinuka Niroshan, and Ms. Chandima Ranasinghe. Thank you very much. A warm round of applause because, you know, we've heard how they worked. Yes, indeed. Now, it's time for the awards, all right? Yes, but we have an artistic intervention. The artistic intervention is by two students of CMA, and they are Satmini Soiza and Ifad Mohammed, who are poised and ready to perform for you. So we trust you enjoy this item.
සංසාරයේ සුබ ප්‍රාර්ථනා ඉඳුනිල් දෙනයන සටහන් වේ උන්මාදෝ ප්‍රේමාදේ සම්මිල වසන්ත යෞවනේ සංසාරයේ සුබ ප්‍රාර්ථනා ඉඳුනිල් දෙනයන සටහන් වේ රළ පෙළ කැළඹේ හසඟන විලසේ ලවනත සුදු මුදු පහස ලැබේදෝ රළ පෙළ කැළඹේ හසඟන විලසේ ලවනත සුදු මුදු පහස ලැබේදෝ
ඔබ හදවත මා හඳුනාගත්සේ මා හදවත ඔබ එලි ගනීදෝ
සංසාරයේ සුබ ප්‍රාර්ථනා ඉඳුන දෙනයන සටහන් වේ
උන්මාදෝ ප්‍රේමාදරේ සමය වසන්ත යෞවනේ
ඉඳුරු කොදෙව්වේ අසුන් කුමාරිකාවේ සයුරු දෙරෙන් සැඟවී ආවාදෝ ඉඳුරු කොදෙව්වේ අසුන් කුමාරිකාවේ සයුරු දෙරෙන් සැඟවී ආවාදෝ
චන්ද මාරුතේ ඉන්ද්‍ර කීලයක් වගේ ඔසෙවින්නට වරම් ලැබේදෝ
සංසාරයේ සුබ ප්‍රාර්ථනා ඉඳුනිල් දෙනයන සටහන් වේ
උන්මාදෝ ප්‍රේමාදරේ සමය වසන්ත යෞවනේ
ඉඳුනිල් දෙනයන සටහන් වේ
සමය වසන්ත යෞවනේ
ඉඳුනිල් දෙනයන සටහන් වේ
There we are. Satmini Soiza and Ifad Mohammed, as we said, two students from the fold of CMA Sri Lanka. Now the awards. We would like to invite on stage presenters. We'd like to invite President Professor Lakshman R. Wattavala, Vice President and President of SAFA, Mr. H.M. Hennayaka Bandara. Then Mr. Dilshan Veerasekara, who is the chairman of the CSE. Then Mr. Rajiva Bandaranayaka, CEO of the Stock Exchange, as well as Mr. A.N. Raman from among the panel of judges. And the Acting High Commissioner for Canada. So this presentation has sections, segments, and sectors, we might say. Is that correct? Yes.
That is 5, in fact, apart from the overall.
And there is the overall, which will be at the end of the presentation round. So we have the merit awards, and this is in alphabetical order that the reading out of the corporate names will be, and we invite the representatives of those mentioned to please come forward and onto the stage. So thank you very much. So Dinasha, you will initiate the proceedings with the Merit Awards.
I shall indeed. Receiving the first Merit Award, as Arun mentioned, in alphabetical order. So we have AAT Sri Lanka. Applause also begins with A. Congratulations to AAT Sri Lanka. Next winner is Aiken Spence PLC, winning the Merit Award. Well done. Congratulations also due to Bank of Ceylon.
All of the recipients who come up now, by now you get the idea that the photographer's perspective is very important also. So you just need to know how to pose, stand, which direction and all that.
Ceylon Tea Brokers PLC is the next Merit Award winner. And well done to Expo Lanka Holdings PLC. Congratulations. Also receiving the Merit Award, Hatton National Bank PLC.
That is Hatton National Bank PLC. The next merit is to HNB Finance PLC. Followed by Lanka IOC PLC. Next is Oxford College of Business Private Limited. And then it's People's Leasing and Finance PLC. The next Merit Award to Singer Sri Lanka PLC. Included in our list of those receiving the Merit Award is Valuable Power Eratna PLC.
Congratulations to Valuable Power Eratna PLC and to all the Merit Award winners. The focus now, the sector awards, and we begin with
the banking sector. This is the winner in the banking sector. National Development Bank, NDB PLC.
Congratulations to NDB PLC, winner for the banking sector. Now the finance and leasing sector. The winner is LB Finance PLC. Winning for the insurance sector, SoftLogic Life Insurance PLC. Congratulations to SoftLogic Life. Now, who takes the prize for the diversified holdings sector? Diesel and Motor Engineering PLC.
Our next sector is the state-owned enterprises or companies. So the winner of the state-owned enterprises banking sector is NSB, National Savings Bank. The next sector happens to be state-owned enterprises or companies, finance and leasing. The winner, People's Leasing and Finance PLC. The plantation sector is next, and the winner, Talawakale Tea Estates PLC. The next sector is educational institutes. And these are also subdivided, but here we are. Educational institutes, academic, the winner, Oxford College of Business Private Limited.
For Professional Educational Institutes, AAT Sri Lanka. Taking the prize now for the manufacturing sector, Dipped Products PLC. A powerful force now, the winner for the power sector, Lanka IOC PLC. Are now generating a win in the energy sector, Valuable Power Eratna PLC. Winning in trade and commerce, Singer Sri Lanka PLC. With a big win for the SME sector, Ceylon Tea Brokers PLC.
So we had the sector awards given. There were some other sectors as well that were included in the reporting competition. healthcare sector, non-governmental organization or NGOs, or not-for-profit organizations, that's NBOs. Chambers of commerce were also included in that group or sector, and also construction sector. As it happens, there are no awards presented in those sectors because there were no shortlisted entries that were taken up. So those sectors, while listed in the competition, have no awards this year, 2022. But we have special awards.
Our first special award is for the best concise integrated report. And the winner is Diesel and Motor Engineering PLC.
This next is a special award for the best disclosure on capitals. The award is to Union Assurance PLC.
The special award for the best disclosure on materiality. Now, we have two winners. It's a tie, and in no particular order. Winning the special award, Talawakale Tea Estates PLC.
Special award for best disclosure on materiality. Talawakale Tea Estates PLC and NSB, National Savings Bank.
With the special award for the best disclosure on value creation. National Development Bank PLC.
next special award, the Best Disclosure on Strategic Focus. It's awarded to Soft Logic Life Insurance PLC.
Now the special award for integrated thinking. Two winners. Diesel and Motor Engineering PLC is one. The special award for integrated thinking.
And also included in the award here, special award, Soft Logic Life Insurance PLC. Second of the win. There we are.
Integrated thinking. Soft Logic Life Insurance PLC. Two other categories were considered in the special awards, which were diversity reporting and sustainability reporting. But during the evaluation process, there were no nominees shortlisted, and therefore there are no awards for 2022 in those categories.
Now from special awards, we move to recognizing the 10 Best Integrated Reports. This is presented in alphabetical order, so in no particular order other than alphabetical. So Alumex PLC heads the list. A. Among the 10 best is Commercial Bank of Ceylon PLC. Next is Dip Products PLC. And then it is Alpitia Plantations PLC. And then comes Hey Carb PLC.
Also among the 10 best integrated reports, John Keel's Holdings PLC. LB Finance PLC. National Development Bank PLC. People's Bank. Top 10. That's the 10 best integrated reports. Rounding out the 10 best integrated reports, Union Assurance PLC.
So with that, we have identified and celebrated, recognized the 10 best, 10 best integrated reports, and they were in alphabetical order. We got another alphabetical order coming up. This is the top 5. 5 excellent integrated reports. As I said, alphabetical order. We start with Selinco Life Insurance Limited.
With one of the 5 excellent integrated reports, Diesel and Motor Engineering PLC.
Also included in the top 5, National Savings Bank, NSB.
another excellent integrated report, we have SoftLogic Life Insurance PLC.
So as we said, we follow the alphabetical order, so also included amongst the 5 excellent integrated reports, that from Talabakale Tea Estates PLC.
So congratulations to the companies with the 5 excellent integrated reports. That narrows it quite a bit.
Quite a bit, yes, indeed. We have the top 3 now, but we shall allow a little respite for our presenters who've stood quite a while, so we'll allow them to sit and we'll get back to it shortly. Kusumata Langwi Rongan. That actually has nothing to do with the presenters. It is the title of a song, and it will be performed by that student from CMA Sri Lanka. You've met her before. Here she is, Satmini Soisa.
තෙලංවි රොන් ගන්නා බඹරුන්නේ තෙත දිගිල ගියා මද සුළඟි කොහේ සෙවිනා අනියුන කුසුම කියා මද සුළඟි කොහේ සෙවිනා අනියුන කුසුම කියා මද සුළඟි කොහේ සෙවිනා අනියුන කුසුම කියා මද සුළඟි කොහේ සෙවිනා අනියුන කුසුම කියා
Warm thanks. So she's studying accountancy, right? She could do some other things as well.
Diverse talents.
Yeah, indeed. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And all the very best. We are with the overall winners now. That's where we are. We'd like to invite up.
We'd like to invite our presenters back on stage first before we find out who they're presenting the awards to.
Mr. Daniel Boone was busy with his telephone and now he was interrupted.
For a good cause.
Okay, we're all set for the overall winners. So, as the saying has it, it's 3-1 or bronze, silver, gold. And you know where we begin. We begin with the bronze. The second runner-up, National Savings Bank.
Warm congratulations to the Bronze Award winner, National Savings Bank. We have now the Silver Award. The first runner-up is SoftLogic Life Insurance, PLC.
Silver, there we are, SoftLogic Life Insurance, which leaves us now with the gold. Diesel and Motor Engineering PLC.
Would like to invite all three winners on stage, the overall winners, to take a photograph.
So may we have the recipients of the bronze, the silver, to be included in this group photograph with the gold winner. Well done, and congratulations, we say, indeed. Thank you very much to our presenters. Yes, it's been quite a session of presentations and standing on stage to do it. We'd like to hear from the overall winner, and so we are particularly pleased to invite to the stage and to the lectern Mr. Ranjit Pandithage on behalf of DMO, Diesel and Motor Engineering.
Good evening, Your Excellency, Professor Lakshman Vatwala and the CMA members. It's a great honor for Diesel and Motor Engineering to receive all these awards. We have stated in our annual report, we believe Sri Lanka is full of opportunities. And despite of all the challenges we had with COVID, etc., we had that discipline to change with the environment and work on a very sustainable manner. I'm so glad in integrated reporting, we have our champion, Suresh Gunratna and his team doing an excellent job. Thank you guys. You have done great for us. And I would like to thank the judges and all the benchmark you set so that we could continuously improve to work on a very sustainable matter. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
We'd like to invite as presenter, singular, Professor Lakshman R. Vatawala. We have a token of appreciation to be handed to, but I will let you know who after he's up there. Yes, a token of appreciation to the strategic partner, namely the Colombo Stock Exchange, and we'll invite Dilshan, please, to come accept this token of appreciation. CEO also must come. There we are. So, Banda, you're on. And there's yet one more token of appreciation, a gift to the panel of judges. And there's only just the one who's located here, and that's Mr. Raman. We'll invite him on stage. Wonderful, and thank you very much, Mr. Raman, for the sacrifices made and the effort with it, and indeed, good stuff. We have now approached what we might call the concluding stages. We haven't concluded, but the concluding stage of this event.
And we generally conclude with an attitude of gratitude. So
Yeah.
we'd like to invite for that Ms. Jinandi Chandraratna, the Director and Secretary for the IR Awards for 2022.
Good evening, everyone. Our chief guest, Professor Mervyn King, Chairman, Colombo Stock Exchange, Mr. Dilshan Weerasekara, Founder President and the President of CMA Sri Lanka, Professor Lakshman R. Vatawala, Vice President and President of South Asian Federation of Accountants, SAFA, Mr. H.M. Hennayaka Bandara, Council members, distinguished invitees, and ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of CMA Sri Lanka, it is my great honor and pleasure to propose the vote of thanks on this occasion. First of all, I'd like to express our sincere gratitude to Professor Mervyn King for accepting our invitation and gracing this event by being the chief guest and delivering an insightful speech on corporate reporting. Your virtual presence at this event is indeed a great honor to all of us. Next, I'd like to thank our President and the Chairman of the CMA Integrated Reporting Committee, Professor Lakshman R. Vatawala, for initiating this event 8 years ago in 2015, and for all the guidance and leadership provided by him over the years. Without you, this event wouldn't have been a reality, sir. Next, we would like to express our sincere gratitude to the Chairman of Colombo Stock Exchange, Mr. Dilshan Weerasekara, and the Chief Executive Officer of Colombo Stock Exchange, Mr. Rajiva Bandaranayaka, for your presence at this occasion and also assisting us in many ways as the supporting partner for over more than 5 years continuously. Further, our deep sense of appreciation goes to the panel of judges comprising of Professor Hoyuki, Professor Graham Terry, Professor Samanthi Senaratna, Mr. A.N. Raman, and the panel of technical evaluators headed by Professor Roshan Ajwad, Mr. Kusal Nisanka, and Mr. Deshapriya Senanayaka for the most painstaking task of evaluating integrated reports and assisting us in arriving at the verdict on time. Thank you very much, all of you. A special thanks goes to Professor Graham Terry for presenting the insightful judges' report today on IR Awards Competition 2022. Of course, an event like this cannot happen overnight. A lot of hard work has been put in by various parties over a period of time to make this event a success. A special thanks goes to Mr. Amal Bandara, All Solutions, for event management and adding glamour to this event. Also, a special thanks goes to all the logistics providers, including the Taj Samudra Hotel, for all the support extended towards making this event a success. And also, I'd like to be grateful for the presence of His Excellency Daniel Bood, the Counselor, High Commission of Canada for Sri Lanka. Thank you, sir, for gracing this event and your presence at this event. Finally, further, a special heartfelt thanks goes to the CMA Sri Lanka team coordinated by Mrs. Shanti Maheshwaran for working tirelessly round the clock to make this event a success. Finally, I'd like to congratulate all the winners of CMA Excellence in Integrated Reporting Awards 2022 for their great achievements. Congratulations, everyone. As integrated reporting is a journey, we shall meet at yet another successful event like this in future. Until such time, thank you all, and I wish you all a pleasant evening. Thank you very much.
We just wondered what we needed to do, but under the circumstances, there is no option. It's dinner. And we can only suggest that you enjoy it. Don't look at us.
And that would have an award for conciseness, I suppose. Enjoy your dinner, bon appetit, and let the party get started, I suppose.
Oh, that's right, yes, the party gets started. Thank you, Dinasha, for sharing the evening with us. Yeah.
Thank you, Aaron.